All right, and welcome everyone to the Ginette Biro Podcast. Thank you always so much for joining me on the show as we dive into energies and consciousness. And today we are going to talk about some darkness because holy smokes, this last week has been a really interesting week of this kind of darker energy stepping up to trigger what is needed for these radical new beginnings. Now, some of you may find that with these radical new beginnings, you were already feeling light, already feeling momentum forward, and already really taking advantage of it and moving forward. And that's awesome. Some of you, though, may have really found that you were triggered by things, whether it be in dream state, in interactions with people. Maybe what you saw in the news was deeply triggering, and you were thinking, what the actual is going on, and why is this happening? And so I tuned into my guides and I had a great conversation with them about this energy. And I'm going to kind of push the limits here a little bit for some people. I talk about these kinds of things in my cosmic consciousness class. We go into higher realm stuff, but I'm going to, for some of you, this may feel like a stretch, but take it or leave it. Again, you can choose what resonates for you and what doesn't. But here's what I understand. So as I've always said, there is equal parts light on our planet as there is equal parts dark. And what has happened is that enough people are open to consciousness now that equal parts light can really come in and present itself so that we can then choose, are we going to align with fear energy, or are we going to align with energies of love and compassion and higher thought? Now, those energies of dark, though, are connected to what some people may call reptilians, what some people might call the darkness, some call low vibe energies, lower entities. Basically, what it is they are pesky frequencies that reside in fourth dimension. And as always, I always explain fourth dimension as that kind of highway or hallway between third dimension and fifth dimension. And fifth dimension consciousness is where humanity is heading. So when you stay stuck in this fourth dimensional consciousness, you're raising your consciousness, you're aware of something more, you're questioning the standards of 3D, but you're receiving insights of fear and triggering stuff from these pesky energies in fourth dimension. That's what you have to be aware of, is what is coming to you. Is it coming to you through a loving frequency of compassion and steadiness, or is it triggering more fear and worry? Because if it's triggering more fear and worry, that is a pesky energy at play. So with these radical new beginnings that I was talking about in the energy update, every time we step up into light as we're moving through that 4D hallway or highway, however you want to visualize it, every time we take a step up in light, we will also be met with equal parts dark, which gives us an opportunity to choose which one we're going to pay attention to, which one we are going to feed back with our energy. Again, if we're feeding back energy of light with light energy, we're going to amplify that and move forward and cross into that fifth dimensional consciousness. If we get hung up in the fear energy, though, sometimes we might find we whirl around there for a couple days or a couple weeks. And that's when traumas happen, triggers, dramas, fights, doubt, blah, blah, blah. We get lost in this circuit until we come back and find our light again. Now, if that happens, there's nothing less or demeaning about you as a person if you get caught in it. It just means you got caught in that current. Almost picture it like a rip current, right? But you can get out of it as soon as you remember what's happening. And that's why I'm talking about this, because it's merely about reminding people of something else also at play. Now, the way that I was given the information yesterday was, it's almost kind of like Lord of the Rings. So for those of you that have seen Lord of the Rings, is as we open this energy of higher movement and push forward from the light, also there was this energy of darkness that opened that actually kind of came through a portal around Halloween. And this energy was like that of in Lord of the Rings. If you guys remember the eye, when Frodo puts the ring on, I believe it is, and then the eye can see him. It was kind of like this eye of darker energy that then is kind of in play and looking for where it can trip people up. And so some of you may find your dream state has been really chaotic, or you've been triggered by anxiety and worries, or you have been triggered by past things about your past have been coming up and kind of haunting you in a sense. You can't get through it and you don't know why it's coming up again. These things are coming up so that we can step stronger into our sense of self. I talked about that superhero pose before. It's giving us opportunities to test whether we can withstand it and step forward and step through it. I also was told that not only was there that blanket energy of that kind of eye sending, darker energy vibes, but I was also told that there are some people who are afraid of the process of waking up and almost feel more comfort with what they know already. And even though they are wrapped in a darker energy, they are staying in fear and worry and kind of cocooned, they're almost more comfortable there because it's what they know. And so the concept of stepping through that and having the energy and the faith and the push to move past that into the light is actually scarier right now. And so they're staying there. And so this is why, with this understanding, why what you do with your light matters. Because if you put out more light in the world and you put out more consciousness and compassion for people that are stuck in that, it encourages them and allows them to feel a sense of safety and also stepping up and stepping forward. So just be conscious of where you are in that as well, because what you do has a really big impact. It really, really does. Even simply by choosing for you creates you to have a higher frequency, which means a brighter light. So I say all of that because remember, we still are in the Scorpio season, as they call it. Scorpio being moody, being transformative, but moving through kind of the underbelly of things. So it kind of throws us into a potential of getting lost in that darkness energy right now. This is all being said for your awareness, because if you do not want to be in the underbelly, you simply need to choose the next right thing. And that comes from not rushing through things. So sometimes, and I find I will do this sometimes too, so I've had to work on this, is something will come up and trigger me. And I'm like, ugh, I don't like that feeling. I don't want that. I'm not interested. And so I will try and rush my process of moving through. In one way I might say, okay, I've already gone through that. I've done this and this and this. It's done, whatever, move on. And I'm trying to kind of push it away versus recognize, why has it come up again? What is it telling me? And when I've actually stopped to recognize why is it coming up again, sometimes it's to show me that I actually don't need to fear it anymore, or I don't need to own it anymore, and that I've actually moved through a lot of it. And there was maybe just one last thing that needed to just be kind of shaken off. But if I was trying to push it away, then I would miss that opportunity to actually shake it free of my energy so that I can move on in a higher light and love. So again, this is all simply being shared for your awareness. And whether you embrace the idea of light and dark, whether you call it a certain being or a certain polarity, however you visualize it, it's all about these changing energies and you consciously choosing what you do in that energy of change. So check your light. That's what Spirit was saying. Check your light. Are you lost in the darkness of the underbelly, or are you standing up in your light in that superhero pose and moving forward? Okay, now as I'm talking to you guys and telling you this, I keep having the three guides of light kind of poking at me. So I'm just going to take a moment here. I know we're mid-broadcast, but I'm just going to take a moment and be quiet and just hear what they have to say. So just bear with me for a second here. Okay. So they're saying use the divine light as your resource. Use the divine light as the gas in your tank. So when you feel that your light is dimming a little bit, if you feel your energy fading, notice it right away like you would when your gas light goes on in your car. Notice it right away and do something about it right away. Don't keep driving on fumes because you will run out of gas. So they're saying when you feel that dip in energy, stop when you can and do what is needed to fill up your tank again. And so for some of you, that might be completely disconnecting from social media, anything, let's just go with that. Say it's totally disconnecting from social media. You might do that for a day or two. And in that day or two, your mind can be brought back to peace and filled back up with the love from your own heart, from your family, from what you know is good in the world, and you fill your tank back up. For others of you, it might be reading a really good book. For some of you, it might be taking a bath. It might be some exercise. But what it is it's something that isn't rushed. When we fill our tanks back up, they're showing me this too. You know, when you're standing at the gas pump, you can't fill your tank in a split second. It doesn't just magically fill at the click of a button. You actually have to sit there and wait for a few minutes as it's filling up. So they're saying the same thing kind of applies to our energetic light tank. If it has been dimmed, it will take a little bit of time to fill it up. So don't rush that process either. Don't rush it. Give it the time it needs, and be willing to give it the time it needs without judgment and without determining exactly how it should go. Allow the process to unfold. And also for some of you, that may mean shifting gears. You may find your process shifts and you do something totally different, even in how you rest and recuperate. And maybe for some of you who normally you would meditate or you would sage and smudge or you would exercise, maybe for you, it is something so different that you actually have a nap in the day, right? Allow the uniqueness of what it needs to be to show itself. And if you don't know what it is, give yourself a minute to tune in and ask your body, what does it need to be refueled? And it's a really interesting thing. So they're saying, allow the light to be a resource. It is a constant resource for us, but we have to be active participants in doing so. Just like with our car, we have to actively go fill it up. Or if you have an electric car, put it in the charging station. You have to actively do that. You can't just will your car to be charged or be full of gas. You have to participate in the doing. So that's what they're saying. They have one more message. Hold on, this is funny. Just hold on a sec. Okay, they're also saying by the time we get to the full moon this month, we will see an energy of calm come over everything. Now, it doesn't mean that's going to be up until the full moon, it's chaos, but by the time of the full moon, you will most likely notice a softening of the energy to bring us into December, because what they're showing me right now is that moving into December, they want it to be more peaceful, more nourishing, more celebratory, so that we can really live and embody the energy of Christmas and what that brings and whatever celebrations people have. Within that, December is a big time for us to settle in the energy. Instead of being harsh and jagged, we can soften to it so that we can really, really own our energy as we step into 2022. And I'm really excited to be talking to you guys about what's in store for 2022, but I'm going to save that so we don't get ahead of ourselves. But yeah, so I hope this helps you guys kind of recognize what may have gone on for you this past week. Oh, and also, thank you. They're reminding me, last thing to mention is there's been a lot of solar activity this last week. Lots of solar activity, solar flares, energy coming in from the cosmos. But remember that solar activity brings in possibilities and potentials for greater energetic shifts, huge resource of light energy, light consciousness. Because remember, just as we have consciousness in the form of, not consciousness, let's say information in the form of words. We can get information from songs, from images, from art. We can also get information in the form of consciousness from light. Light energy contains light codes. And so when the sun is blasting us with these energies, which then also can create these beautiful auroras, which we have been seeing a ton of, these are amazing indicators manifest in our world of change on our planet. If any of you read my book, Avalon to Aurora, Spirit really used the word aurora as an indicator of a game plan change, a change in trajectory, something coming onto the planet that is a good thing. So the fact that we've been seeing a lot of auroras the last while is really the spirit world manifesting visuals for us to recognize that these energies happening on the planet are helping to create change in consciousness as well. So again, with any new shifts, just like when you move from one house to another, there's a lot of stuff that happens and you have to move through it, but it's always for the better. So same thing with these changes and shifts. Don't get caught in the underbelly. Recognize the light is absolutely your resource. And they are showing this through solar flares. They're showing this through the auroras. You have the ability to step up and to move through it if you hold your frequency high. And again, if your frequency dips a little bit, as it will, because we're human and we're interacting in this shifting time, do what is needed for you to reestablish that energy, rebuild it, reignite it, refill your tank. Do what you need for you. It is okay. Allow yourself that space and peace to do that. So I hope that helps you guys. I hope you have a wonderful week. I will definitely keep you tuned into what else is in store as it comes. And for everything else, check out the not the Ginette Biro Podcast. You guys are listening to that right now. Check out avalonspirit.com. There's lots of insights, information. We also have a whole bunch of products up there now, ready for Christmas gifts of energy amplifiers for you, for your loved ones, just some beautiful things and offerings there. And for everything else, you guys, keep tuned into your guides. Keep tuned into your light. Recognize you are a divine, beautiful, powerful being as you are. I hope you guys have a really wonderful rest of your week.